Hello! So, today we've got First Snow. It's a visual novel that was recently released last August 20 on Steam. And I've read some of the reviews and they said that the game was really beautiful. So, let's see for ourselves. The first snow of the year should be a comforting sight, yet it carries a different feeling when so far from home. Again, the art style is beautiful. Wow. Winter has always been my favorite time of the year, but the joy of warm fires and upcoming holidays is missing. There's only a month left to go until the season begins in earnest, but I can't feel any of the usual excitement. The coming winter will be the first I've spent away from my family. After all, it's just me now, standing alone on a concrete balcony and looking out onto a gray sky. I like the shading. Hey Allison, our class is soon? Rose. A woman's barking from down below breaks me out of my thoughts. Her familiar figure clad in leather stares up, snow heaped on the rusted shovel in her hands. Wow, just look at this art. Look at the detail and the brushing. Looks like the heating's died again. The inside of the apartment no warmer than out there. This new home might be a little shabby, but at least it's ours. A quick glance at my phone as I walk to get my coat and bag confirms her to be right. The morning's message from a friend still showing on the screen. Big news, Ali, yay! The idea of big news at this of all times fills me with worry. I'm already too busy just trying to keep up with my new life. With time marching on, I quickly slip the phone back into my coat and set off for the stairs. I shouldn't have a problem making it to class if I keep a good pace. So she must be starting university. They're like paper cutouts. The busily shoveling woman is still working away, her efforts obvious to see. The snowfall's been impressive for a single night, but a good amount's already been cleared. Her heavy breathing easily visible in the cold air. Keeping a brisk pace as much to get to my classes on time as it is to try and warm myself up, I try to wave a quick goodbye. It's obvious she won't let me go without giving her 2 cents, though, as she puts her shovel against the wall and takes a good stretch. Allison. Morning, Rose. Working hard already? Rose. Someone's gotta do it. Not like those useless lumps will. And they flip. Avatars flip. Rose jerks her head towards the apartments. She's not really wrong, but her usual tactlessness is on full display. You all bundled up? Looks like winter's coming early going by the paper. I'll be fine, don't worry. Just take it easy on the way there, alright? I will. I will. A weak smile is her response as I start off down the road. She knows that I'm right. This is hardly the first exchange we've had like this. Every other morning Rose comes up with something or another to definitely not be concerned about. I don't mind though. That kindness is one of her better traits. This brushing, man. Can't get over it. The weather's been getting steadily colder for a while now. The few workers braving the morning chill are slowly making their way down to the bus station for work. Those staying behind grumbling as they shovel snow from the roofs of their cars and their driveways. There aren't many students down this way as I walk, however. Student accommodation filled up fast, and the nearby apartments were all rented out soon after that. Thank goodness for a family friend offering to let me live with them. Yeah, that's a big reduction of cost. Helpful as Rose may be, there's still some sense of being a foreigner. It's only been 2 months since I moved in and started classes at college. My circle of high school friends and boisterous family home turning overnight to a cramped apartment shared between Rose and I. Guess it's a bit change for her. As the school buildings come into view, I join the tired masses staggering through the gates and towards their classes. Much as I might worry, I know I'm not alone. I'm sure many of the students around me right now are going through exactly the same thing. Yeah. It's only now that I realize I haven't had my usual morning coffee back at the apartment to wake myself up. With little time before biology class starts, I'll have to content myself with a quick can of soda from the vending machine. But it's so cold. Why would you drink soda at winter? Heading over to the Union building on the way to class, the morning chill's driven away the usual gaggle of those sitting on the stairs and blocking the entrance. Rubbing my hands together to summon some warmth, I head on in. Wow. With the heating being cranked right up, you could almost forget it's winter outside. My relief doesn't last long, however, because my heart nearly stops as a deafening clatter comes from my head. What's she doing? A couple walking arm in arm skirt around the edge of the room, doing their best to not draw the attention of a blonde woman nearby. She grumbles loudly before delivering another kick to the poor abused vending machine in front of her. Drink. Okay. I hate situations like these. Either I do nothing and feel bad for not helping, or step in and deal with the stress that comes with confronting someone involved. That's because you're the protagonist. As I try to work my way out of this, my heart freezes as the woman locks eyes with me. I must make for a pitiable sight with my hands raised defensively in front of me, her rage calming as she settles for staring daggers at the machine. Resigned to my fate, I reluctantly shuffle towards her as my heart beats wildly. As I do, her dour look is only made all the more intimidating from the bags under her eyes. She mustn't have slept well. Is something wrong? Stupid thing ate my money. No can or change at all. Threw $5 in there too. The vending machine here messes up sometimes. It's usually better to go through to the cafeteria for drinks. They should fix it then. Okay. Recounting the event only serves to stir up her annoyance. Another foot being jammed into the accused. The horrible noise makes me cringe again, and I'm starting to worry she'll hurt herself as much as the machine itself. Don't kick it again. Why not? Things already broken, isn't it? Don't make things worse. I want to say that I'd rather not get in trouble with the staff, but I get the feeling that wouldn't faze her. We can hear the heartbeat. Viewing my options as quickly as I can, there's only one solution I can think of that might settle her down. I probably shouldn't, but if nobody's paying much attention, which drink did you want? She gives me a curious look after I manage to squeak the words out, but eventually points. Was just grabbing a lemonade on the way out. Could you turn around for a moment? With great reluctance, she turns away as I ask. I doubt she could work out what I'm doing by looking, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Closing my eyes and suddenly mouthing the right sequence to make sure I don't mess it up, I go about my business. With any luck, the software inside hasn't been updated since I last tested this. What? Oh, she fixed it. A long sigh of relief passes my lips as the vending machine rattles away, loudly dumping a can into the small opening. It's pretty. Holding the can before the blonde woman's face as she turns back around, my reward is a somewhat impressed expression as she takes the item. Now that she has her drink and had a chance to get her frustration out of her system, she seems to be calming a little. Her height doesn't help her look any less intimidating though. So she's a small woman? With that, I consider the matter settled as I nod and begin to walk away. Only as I leave do I realize my heart's racing after having to deal with her. Hey, wait up. Well, that's your fault for judging her. Reaching for my instinctual response, I pretend not to hear her as I skitter away and disappear back through the entrance. The cold hits me like a wall as I leave through the door. I hardly mind, heaving a sigh to steady myself as I head towards classes. I only remember now that I'd intended to grab a drink myself, but fiddling with the machines probably made me too late. The empty campus grounds make me nervous, making me take my phone in hand to check the time. A quick glance is all that's needed to send me dashing towards the sciences building. It's going to be one of those days. Panting from the run, I stagger into biology class with as much composure as I can muster. The sight seems to make a pitiable impression on the professor, who merely nods for me to take a seat. Setting my bag next to me, I quickly take the seat to a now familiar figure. The diminutive Capri shoots a grin and wave as I sit, earning a smile in return. It's nice to see a friendly face. As the professor gets back to lecturing, I grab my still pristine textbook from my bag, sticking true to the bookmark I'd added for where we currently are. Movement from the corner of my eye takes my attention, a ripped piece of sketchpad sliding before me. Oh no, your perfect attendance record. What happened? Okay, passing notes. Her writing is surrounded by various doodles and scribbles already on the page. I should pay attention to the class, but it isn't that easy to wave Caprice off. Or her name's Caprice. Then again, this is largely reviewing what we covered in high school right now. It probably wouldn't hurt to chat with her a bit. Doodles. You should just draw. I write a brief reply and a little accompanying drawing before sliding it back over. Quick look to the professor, making sure the coast is clear as he drones on. Caprice's reply as the pages pass back makes me grimace. I should have expected that. I almost reply before noticing the professor casting a knowing glance my way as he continues with his teaching. He knew what we were doing, didn't he? Professors are used to that thing. Oh, there's a emoji here on the blackboard. Thinking better of it, I tuck the page beneath my textbook and start listening properly. I don't need to look at Caprice to know her reaction. I hardly think worse of her for it though. Swapping doodles during these classes was how she broke the ice with me when I was just another lonely freshman student. A shy one at that. Given we're still friends, I suppose it worked. Yeah. If you got a shy friend, or if you know a shy guy in class, you should talk to them. If you're good at talking, go and approach them, because it's not likely that they would approach you first. And we really appreciate people reaching out to us coming from a shy person. Sneaking a glance back at the page beneath my book reminds me how well the mercurial girl can draw, at least compared to me. She mentioned one time that she's also taking art classes, which must be paying off. Before I know it, the class starts winding up. The other students begin to get distracted as time goes on, the professor soon starting to wrap things up in response. No sooner do the words come from his mouth that the class is over. Does a loud clatter of people packing books and pens into their bags and backpacks begin. Caprice wastes no time in talking as the two of us do the same. I was worried you were sick today, Ali. It was only a couple of minutes. For you, that's a lot. She has a point. It's likely I was more concerned about this than the teacher. After near perfect attendance through high school though, the last thing I want is to set a bad expectation from the staff here. Setting that aside, I'm not sure the professor really likes us passing notes to each other in class. Well, at least the professor isn't the type to embarrass these people or students who are passing notes. Oh, don't worry about him, he's cool, we've talked. We've talked? Well, if he really wasn't cool, then he would have shouted at them right from the start. Well, if you're sure, I do like seeing your drawings. Is this a romance visual novel? I don't really know. Oh, and I like seeing yours. I'm glad you're here today, actually. I've been thinking, and I need your help with something. Let's zoom in. We're making an art club. Okay. But there's already an art... Wait, why is there a we there? How am I part of this? You're a founding member, of course. The new art club. Nice face. Why do I get the feeling Caprice has been mulling this over in her head for ages? Plans seem to already be in motion for her, and I'm not sure what choice I have left in this. And she changes clothes. I'm left to mull things over as I take my coat from the back of my seat and slip it on. The two of us saying our bags and joining the others in heading out in the hallway. I hadn't even considered joining a club, let alone starting one up with all the work that would entail. I can help, but I have my schoolwork to concentrate on, you know? Getting a scholarship wasn't easy, and I'd rather not waste it. Alright. You're majoring in chemistry, weren't you? I give a nod. I'll bet a slightly guilty one. Not that I dare have told my family, but I only picked chemistry because I happen to be good at it. Like most things in life, I just went with the default option before me. So she didn't have a dream or goal. At least Capri seems to have moved on from me being a part of this. I have enough going on in my life between moving to a new home and studying for college. To think about spending time in clubs and things, it's actually a good thing to invest some time on recreational activities or clubs. I'm surprised you're taking biology classes, to be honest. Aren't you more into art? It's hard to pick a favorite, but right now bio is just the entry-level stuff. It's so boring, right? Entry-level? Okay. I talked to the professor though, and we're getting to some marine life chapters soon. She keeps talking to the professor. That seems very specific. It's the most interesting part. I gotta focus hard when we get there. I plan on making it my major. Well, marine biology. So even a free spirit like Caprice has something she's working towards. It seems I can't get away from how much of a mess my life is, with no idea what I want to do for a career. Don't be too hard on yourself. But the pressure's there. We can't really get rid of it. The two of us head outside with our next classes in our other buildings. As we do, I look about warily as students from other classes pass by. I'd rather not bump into that angry woman again. She seems nice though. Who were you held up with anyway? Bump into a friend? That would require there to be another beyond her in the first place. She's about the last person I'd call a friend. Kind of scary, actually. Now you're just being judgmental. Sorry, I just had to say it. She might have been asking out of small talk before, but now I have her full interest. With reluctance, I think back to the event. Not sure if you know her. Tall, blonde, green eyes, very sharp look with high boots. Kinda pretty? She's really pretty. Now that I have time to think it through, she was quite beautiful. And more than her body, too, I liked her sense of fashion. I think I know who you're talking about, actually. So are they friends? You do? Yep, our other founding member. What? Should have expected that. She hasn't dropped the idea of me joining at all, and now wants her of all people to be part of this. My reaction to the news apparently shows on my face. So she's not a member yet? If we're thinking of the same person, I've seen her around and I've heard something. She floats around the art department a lot, so the other art club tried to grab her. She didn't even pretend to consider it. Just told them to get lost. So, no, she isn't a member yet. Which means she's still free. If she already rejected one club, why would she join another? Because it's led by me, of course. Well, some people do have this kind of talent at convincing others. Oh, sorry, didn't read that. I need to get to my next class. Being late for one today is already too much. Resigned to my fate, I wave goodbye and start to head off. Not more than a couple of seconds later, I hear her calling out behind me. Ah, before you go, meet me on the second floor of the arts building after classes, okay? We need to get started on finding a club room and stuff. So she's serious about this. Looks like I'm going to be a part of this scheme whether I like it or not. Dealing with that woman again makes me shudder, but she'll surely just reject Caprice and that'll be that. I smell a love triangle. Really is beautiful. Look at that brushing on the tree, on the walls, on the floor. The lights. They look so realistic. Walking through the halls at these hours is a wholly different experience to the normal hustle and bustle, where students gossip in the hallways or organize dates and hurried between classes with arms full of overpriced textbooks. I hate overpriced textbooks. There's now a sweet silence. All to be seen at this hour is the odd straggler thinking more about dinner than schoolwork. Well, them and the Christmas decorations, I get the feeling that the arts and humanities staff take some enjoyment out of getting ready for the occasion. Much like the school itself, the decorations look a bit ragged. Probably have hauled out every year for decades. Yeah, because who has the time to shop for decorations? With little to do until Capri shows up, exploring the arts building and peering into this classroom, or that winds up passing the time. There's nothing better than walking through an empty hallway. The silence is just relaxing. Unless it's dark, then better get the heck out. Heading up the stairs, I take my time strolling through the hallways. Everything is bathed in the orange of the sunset. The quiet of the halls giving the building a serene atmosphere. It's calming after the day's events. What is that? Oh, the door. I thought there was a shadow. It isn't until a good few minutes pass that I find the first thing of much interest. A single room with the door left open. With curiosity getting the better of me, I stroll up the hallway and gingerly step inside. At least I can close the door for them. Blondie must be there, doing some fine art. With only a handful of chairs actually set against tables, I think the room unused, if not for the paints, papers, and sketchbooks strewn across the tops of the cupboards. If Caprice went in a club room, this would be as good as any. Wow, look at this painting. As I peer about, the sight of one particular canvas amongst it all catches my attention. The painting of a woman standing in water sits, drawing on the easel. Easel? The painter's utensils still lying about. Wow. Just look. The art is so beautiful. Stepping up to look at it, I'm surprised by how old-fashioned it is. Like the kind of oil painting that would be drawn a century or so ago. Every brush stroke and line has depth to it. The painter's every movement clearly visible. Oh, I guess if it was in their point of view, then it would look like an oil painting. I find myself struck by its beauty, time slipping by me as I stare. Her soft-looking skin and flowing locks of hair are enough to make me wistfully sigh. Her face telling of her free spirit. It's beautiful. Oh, my thoughts are suddenly interrupted by the creaking of the door opening for her, causing me to whip around in fright. And we can hear the heartbeat again. The particular person standing in the doorway looking straight at me does nothing to settle my racing heart, much less the fact that I'm not even supposed to be in here. Sorry, I mean, it looks really beautiful. I quickly try to stammer out something, but the words keep catching in my throat. Mad girl. Oh, it's vending machine girl. And you're mad girl. Allison Merlot. So you two have a name. I'm Eileen Turner, for what it's worth. Oh, Eileen. I quickly nod for all my nervousness about maybe being somewhere I shouldn't. Eileen doesn't actually seem to care that much. In fact, she almost looks bored. If this room's used by a bunch of people, there's a good chance she might not know I'm an intruder. Really. I'm going to close the place up. If you want anything, you should grab it. Not that I think you have anything here. The cold edge to her voice freezes my entire body. You're being too much of a sub, Allison. I mean, I can explain. Eileen narrows her eyes and crosses her arms, waiting for my response. A response which is interrupted by familiar voice booming from the entrance. Hey, hey, Allie. I don't think I've ever been so glad to see Caprice, given this art club business was her idea. It's for the best if she explains it all. Eileen doesn't look impressed as Caprice skips into the room, looking this way and that like some tourist. Good work, you already found us a room. This will work perfectly. So, Caprice got herself a new goon. I wish I was surprised. Yep. You're not supposed to agree with that. And what do you want this room for? Pray tell. Wow. The current art club is awful. I'm sure you know. So instead of dealing with them, we're going to farm our own. It looks like you and Allie have found us a club room. I see what's happened here and now. Caprice engineered the situation so we'd all be here together. This isn't a very subtle scheme, but that's all the more reason for her to have come up with it. I try my best to backpedal in a way that don't upset either. I just thought we'd draw a bit. Didn't mean to intrude. I got permission to use this room to practice my painting, not for some dumb club. Sorry, but it's 2 against 1, majority rule. I didn't say anything about a club. Well, too bad, this is dictatorship. Eileen stands her ground, staring down her opponent as I try my best to stay well out of their argument. Her resolve doesn't last long though. Realizing the futility of it, she eventually heaves a sigh at Caprice's antics. I can't say I wholly blame her. I just want to work in peace. That isn't much to ask. But I'm not going to get anything more done today anyway. Ooh, scarf. Eileen turns to me after picking up her coat from a desk and pulling her scarf around her, rather pointedly being finished with Caprice. See you around, I guess. Yeah. Awkward. At a loss for how I'm supposed to respond to such an unenthusiastic tone, I'm left standing silently as a frustrated Eileen throws her backpack over her shoulder and strides out. Maybe we were intruding on her kind of safe haven, because some people like to work alone. Caprice just smiles and shrugs as she looks back to me. The argument they had just moments ago flying off her like water on a duck's back. Well, that's how it is. I feel like I got dragged into something. You noticed? I didn't really think that would work, but it was worth a try. She's not listening to me at all. Am I really just an instrument to try and win this argument between them? No, I can't think that. Caprice is forceful, but she means well. If this did end up being a club, I'd probably enjoy it. Yeah. Appreciate your forceful friends. If they mean good, then it's all cool. Caprice certainly wouldn't make it dull, and I think if Eileen got to know me, she'd be nicer to me. But I don't want to risk Eileen getting even more annoyed with me. Anxiety. It feels like I've been left to hunker down in a foxhole in no man's land, and all I can do right now is hold my helmet on tight. As the orange of the sunset starts to wane outside, it becomes obvious that nothing more is going to get done today, just as Eileen said. I better head home. It's getting late. See you tomorrow. See ya. If you ever want to draw, feel free to drop by the new club room. Precisely none of what Eileen said penetrated. Did it? Yeah. I just give a weak smile as I wave and take my bag. Eileen wondering if Rose will be cooking something for dinner or bringing home takeout. It's something more heartening to think about than today's efforts anyway. She's lucky she gets to go home with meals ready because some students don't have the luxury to have food waiting at home. As I collapse onto the couch and settle in, the deafening sound of silence rushes in. The odd passing car from the street below the apartment only highlights the quiet of the room. Burb. It's a burb. Plucking my phone from my pocket after dropping my bag on the cushion beside me, I take quick note of the time. I guess Rose got stuck in traffic. An annoying train of thought starts up once again as I put it away, one that's crept up on me occasionally ever since moving out, just waiting for when nothing's around to distract me. I can't cope with the schoolwork easily enough. It's mostly just review right now. People like Caprice might be a handful, but they do liven up the day's routine. It's a fair distance to campus from here, but the walk helps keep me fit. The silence, that I can't deal with. I wonder what's wrong. Is she a lonely person, or does she have deeper problems? Grabbing the remote and flicking on the television at least provides some background noise, but it's no replacement for the sounds of home. It's truly silent. There's no mother busying herself over the cooking pot to welcome me home and ask how my day was, no excitable older brothers fighting about this silly thing or that. No father for me to happily see come home from work. Oh, that's just sad. He's homesick. It's just me now. My fingers roll over the screen in thought as it brings up the lock screen, mindlessly tracing out the cracks in the bottom corner. I could easily call them right now. My mom and dad both made it clear I could ring any time at all. That's just sad. It's hard being apart from family. But as I stare at the screen, a deep apathy strikes me. Before college, I thought that with my family and old friends just a phone call away, nothing would feel all that different. Maybe I just couldn't admit to myself how big of a change this would really be. Admitting defeat. The phone ends up on the couch beside me as I watch television. The news is interesting today, so at least it's some distraction from all this. That's just sad, and it's harder when you're away and someone gets sick or some accident happens and you just go home and someone's gone. Just when I thought I'd finally found a friend or two in college, and then it ends up being a mess. Why do people have to be so complicated? As the door behind me opens, I close my thoughts on the subject. There's no point in mulling things over any further. It's sad. Art matters. Oh. It's up to Act 1. Ooh. Nice. Really appreciate the artist. Saturday's morning air is brisk as I stagger back from the supermarket, hands full of bags. The apartment itself may be nothing to write home about, but it's certainly in a good location. I still don't feel like I've been pulling my weight when it comes to daily life with Rose. Excuse me. But at least I can help with errands like groceries. Her attempts to teach me handiwork skills have been less successful. Actually pays to learn handiwork. Even this much has been a learning experience. My parents usually doing the shopping back when I lived with them. And she's just dancing there. Reaching the apartment, I find Rose crouched outside and working on her motorbike. She looks perfectly content as she whiles away her time with tools spread around her, as if a child happily playing with her favorite toys. Working on the bike again? Hmm? Oh, hey, that was quick. She levers herself up with a grunt. Yeah. Before pulling back at the edge of one bag with a finger to peer in, then another. I'm a little worried as she checks over my work. Having to hold my breath as she does isn't exactly helping. I'm still not used to the acrid smell of her smoking, but maybe that's a good thing. Good work. Everything we needed and no weird impulse buys. Did we need more window cleaner though? You said to grab necessities if they're on sale and don't spoil, right? You're learning. Could you help me down here once you put everything away? I need another set of hands. Without anything in particular planned for today, I agree before heading inside. The rickety stairs creak as I slowly head up with groceries in hand, fumbling with the door handle. My arms are thankful for the relief once I manage to drop the bags in the apartment after opening the door. Opening the fridge, I get to work stuffing in the frozen and cold items first. Next, I open the cabinet doors and start ladling in the cans and boxes. As the empty shelves fill, I get an odd sense of satisfaction when caring for myself. Yeah, grocery shopping is super satisfying, but then after a few days, you regret on how much you spent. Or I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel. Living as an adult is busy work, but it's rewarding in its own way. There's an odd and unexpected feeling of accomplishment from doing even simple tasks. I'm sure it'll wear off in time, but I'm holding on to it for now. With the job done, I close the cabinets and get back up to look about the room. The apartment is barely any warmer inside than out. I suppose there are downsides as well as upsides. Putting it out of my mind as fast as I can, I head back down to Rose. Smoke. Stepping back outside and closing the door behind me. Familiar clangs and bangs carrying on the air as Rose still works away. Pass a rag, would you? Be a darling. Pass a rag. I quickly take a seat near her on a patch cleared of snow, grabbing one of the torn-up pieces of old shirt and handing it to her. She seems to be cleaning out some part of the engine or another. Anything interesting happening at school? Not really. The schoolwork isn't too hard so far. A friend wants to start a club. A club? Huh? That's cool. What kind? That's cool, but her face looks unimpressed. An art club, apparently. I'm not really sold on it, though. I need to study, and she basically came up with the whole idea by herself. Rose passes the rag back and puts the part in place, motioning for me to hold it while she wrenches it back in. After a few grunts, the job appears to be done as she puts the wrench down with a clunk and turns back toward me. Life's not about studying. I wish I learned that sooner. I know you were a teacher's pet back in high school, but you could stand to be a bit more social. Yeah. If I could turn back time and go back to my college days, I would have, or high school days, I should have been a bit more social because I joined myself in books and all that, got decent grades, but now it doesn't really matter. They don't really matter when you grow up. It's depressing. So it's this again. This is another downside of living here, with so much of my time spent alone with Rose. There's, for better or worse, no easy way to escape her questioning. I know she has my best interest in mind, though. I'm glad to have someone around to help me get to grips with Adelaide, even if I did find her intimidating at first. What was your college life like? Never had the chance to go. Oh? I'm left a little surprised as she gets back to her bike. I've only known Rose for a couple of months now, so I'm still finding out new things about her all the time. I guess maybe she's trying to give hints that we shouldn't live with regrets. Get the best out of it. Maybe you get why I'm on your case about this stuff now. Yep. Not everyone gets the chances you have, so make the most of it. Go to parties, get some friends, and find a boyfriend sometime. Even if it doesn't last, it'll be a start. Yeah, make the most of it. Never regret. So if you guys got anything you want to do, stop thinking about it. Do it now. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone, then just do it now. It's better to do something than regret not doing anything. So at least you tried. My family always pushed me to put such things aside and focus on my education, so that's what I did. Oh, it's her parents. The simplicity of life back then suited me just fine, and it worked out well going by my scholarship. Parents and their expectations. So hard when you love your parents, but they got big expectations for you. So you're really stuck in the middle, like you want to break free, do a bit of rebellions. Bless you. But then, I don't know, it's just hard to balance it out. I was never really interested in boys because I was so caught up in learning. That's what I like to say, but I'm honest enough with myself to know that's not the whole story. Seeing Eileen last week reminded me of that. Women like her keep catching my eye, and then there was that painting of hers. As time goes on, the difference in what I like looking at gets harder and harder to explain away. Rag, Allison? I hastily placed a rag in her outstretched hand. Rose using it to try and rub some of the oil and grease off her hands. Grease is so hard to get off. I've seen my dad, like, tinker with his car and just has it all over his hands. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I'm not straight. Oh, she's not straight. If that's really the case, well, I'd like to talk with her about it. I can never quite seem to find the right time. Oh. So it is a romance visual novel. There's nothing wrong with not being straight, but people are so lucky to get or have parents that fully accept them for who they are and don't care about social norms. You're right, but luckily we're already fortunate to live in a era where same-sex marriage is legal, and it's being more open today. Yeah, I was just thinking of how life is complicated. Sure is. Hey, you bought that ice cream I asked for while you were out? It's in the freezer now. Why? Ice cream at winter. How about we have some? It's better to eat ramen. Ramen. It is a treat after working all morning on this thing. Ramen. She has strange ideas about what makes a good dessert in the cold weather, I see. But I'm not going to stop her. Okay, I kind of want ramen now. As the two of us start packing up, another peaceful day rolls by. A loud yawn from Rose emanates from the couch. The droning of the television briefly overshadowed. The only other sound is the coffee pot boiling away from the kitchen, punctuated by the occasional passing car. Only half awake and still acting on autopilot. I lazily wipe the sleep from my eyes as I stagger toward the door. The smell of Rose's toast wafts invitingly through the air. Toast, making me envious of her later start to work. I let out a loud yawn before I can stifle it, causing Rose to look over from the couch. What? She has a rose tattoo. Wow, you look like hell. Thank you. Stay up too late playing on your phone or something? Doesn't look like you got an hour of sleep. Must be all that thinking. But Rose is less than tactful about this. It's true that I shouldn't be so tired. I'm usually a morning person, but right now I can barely remember where I even put my phone. Oh, so it must be from all that anxiety that's making her tired. Rose picks herself up from the couch as she finishes her breakfast, brushing toast crumbs off herself as she starts towards the kitchen. Just the neighbors being loud again. I'm surprised you didn't hear them. I may say that, but it's hardly any real shock. She sleeps like a log, which I've always been jealous about. Yeah, kind of jealous about it too because it's so hard to sleep. Rose puts down a plate in her hand, giving the matter more thought than I'd intended. The ones above us, right? Man, I'm sick of them. You gotta do some crowbar action, Rose. I'll go have a talk to them later today and get them to knock it off. Making a racket during the days is one thing, but the night's another. Yeah, put matters into your own hands. See guys, if you have something that's annoying you, stand up to it. Don't let it walk over you. You don't have to do that. You might be quiet from now on anyway. You don't know that. She looked surprisingly disappointed at my attempts to wave off her concern. You have to stand up for yourself sometimes, Allison. Yeah, that's true. Stand up for yourselves, guys. Waiting for the things to blow over ain't always going to work. Yeah, put matters into your own hands. I wind up rubbing my neck and avoid outright answering. Apparently dropping the topic, she sighs and disappears into the kitchen after taking her plate again. I just don't want to cause a fuss, especially on my behalf. Is that really so bad? Yeah, but if it's bothering you, then you have the right to complain. The time rolling by, I glance about and see my phone on the corner of the table. Slipping it into my coat pocket, I skip over and grab my bag sitting by the door. As I stretch a bit to try and wake myself up before facing the cold outside, Rose calls out from behind me. Turning to see her shows a fistful of crumpled dollar bills in hand, thrust out toward me. Here, go buy yourself an espresso or something on the way. It's fine, you don't have to. Just take it, you look awful. She really does have a way with words. Yeah. Some people get too sensitive about sharp-tongued people who are being bluntly honest, but sometimes you gotta appreciate it because there are also benefits to having friends that are that honest with you, because they get to tell you things that you won't hear from anybody else. Sorry. As soon as I get out the door, the weather hits me. Looks like it's going to be a harsh winter this year, with the cold of the snow dumping down being made all the worse by the chilly fog hanging in the air. Twisting my head to and fro to bury it in my scarf a little better, I set off down the road with hands firmly lodged into my coat pockets. There don't seem to be many people around that are braving the weather, not that I blame them. As the muffled sound of snow under tires rings out, a garbage truck rumbles by. It's only after a worrying few seconds that I remember I did indeed put the garbage out for collection yesterday. Why do they have this gate if this is empty? Or maybe it's I don't know. I don't see the gate anywhere for this area. Reaching the campus, the welcome sight of a cafe nearby lifts my spirits. I've overheard students mention the coffee here is good and it's conveniently right next to the campus. It looks homely enough from the outside and only has a handful of people inside at this hour as I peer through the windows. With a quick brush of the falling snow off my shoulders and bag, I take a breath and walk in. Is it a play on Starbucks? The oak tree. Good. A bell above the door rings out as I enter. The smell of coffee on the air combining with the homely styling inside making for an immediately cozy atmosphere. Joining the couple of people in line, I quickly rehearse the order in my mind to make sure I get it right. The barista's nice smile towards the other patrons keeps making me trip over myself, and I've never been great in dealing with strangers. Yeah, she really does come off as being an anxious girl. Hold on. It's the problem with us. We just got to rehearse the order before telling it so as to not screw up. And sometimes I let my friends or my boyfriend order for me, because why not let others do it for you? Coming to the front of the line, I managed to blurt out my order of a latte with sugar before I can mess it up. She smiles and takes my payment, leaving me to wait to the side as it's prepared. I briefly consider having it here, given how relaxing the cafe is. But there's a person. That's before I notice Caprice, loudly chatting with a tall man sitting across from her. Is that the professor? I'm surprised I didn't notice them. I must really be out of it. As the cute barista slides the coffee cup towards me, I decide I'd better leave the two in peace and drink outside. Before I can, Caprice catches sight of me and begins excitedly waving her hand in the air. Allie! Hey, Allie! Over here, Allie! It's kind of awkward barging in a cafe with two acquaintances or a friend, and they're with another friend, and then she calls you, and you go approach them, and it's just awkward. So much for that. Coffee in hand, I wearily walk over to their table and look from one to the other. Morning, Caprice. Wallace. Upon Caprice moving her backpack off a chair and placing it on the floor, I take a seat. Maybe it's her brother? Oh. Alison, here's a good friend and one of the founding members of the art club. Another member, the new art club. This is Caprice's rodeo, so I'm content to let her deal with the club as she wants to at this point. It takes me a moment to realize she referred to me as a good friend in particular. We've only known each other for a couple of months since the semester started, but I'm a little glad she thinks of me like that. Hi, I'm some guy Caprice found. Hi, I'm some girl Caprice found as well. He's our fourth member. As he sighs forlornly, all I can offer is a stilted smile in response. Caprice looks so comfortable dealing with him that I assume they knew each other already. Come to think of it, Caprice had no problem dealing with Eileen either, despite barely knowing her. I'm impressed at how she can talk to strangers with just the same confidence as friends. Maybe she even considers him one already. Yeah, I kind of envy those people who are super confident at talking to others, and they make you feel included. So what do you get up to over the weekend, Allie? Just housework and errands. It's surprising how much time I spend on this sort of thing now that I've moved out. I get what you mean. Thankfully, I split the work with my roommates. It's my roommate that makes me want to pick up the slack. Caprice looks to Wallace for his input, making him part of the conversation. I look after the family gun shop on weekends. Nothing glamorous, but enough to get by on. Caprice continues on chatting, mostly with him. Wallace quietly nods along, adding a yeah, or I see, as needed. I get a distinct feeling he's being talked at more bit than being talked to. Now that we're both sitting across from each other, I can fully appreciate how much of a bear the man is, cutting more of a foreboding figure thanks to his beard. Is that PewDiePie? I can already feel myself shrinking in response. For once to not stare at him, I turn to the coffee steaming away before him. A flat black, with the lid taken off to let it cool faster. I can taste how bitter it is just by looking at it. The conversation is suddenly interrupted by a phone going off. Flip! Apparently, Caprices, as her hand dives into the front of pocket of her hoodie and retrieves it. Uh-oh. This is the awkward moment I was talking about. Wallace and I just look to each other as she wanders off a few steps to take the call, unsure exactly what to do with ourselves. It only takes a few seconds before she returns. Thank goodness. Sorry guys, gotta go. Roommates need me up. Wait. I'll see you two around. We've got much more to discuss, so we're gonna talk with him, maybe? With that, she grabs her backpack and skips out into the winter air without another word. Oh no. Going by her face, I'm more worried about this than she is. Left alone with Wallace, I sip my coffee for something to do. Glancing in his direction, he looks more relieved than anything. Oh, sorry. Oh. Yeah. She means well. I know she does. Even if Eileen doesn't think so, I just have to keep telling myself that. Now I'm glad I didn't say that. Much as I would like to leap to her defense, she is pushing this awfully hard. If he's trying to start a conversation, I feel like I should at least try to reciprocate rather than letting him twist in the wind. So, you and Eileen know each other? Gives a nod after taking a long sip of his coffee. That must be so awfully bitter. We're friends. Met when she was a freshman in high school. Capri saw us together and made the connection. Oh. She's filled me in on this club business. I'm going to guess you were pulled into it? Something like that. Kinda spiraled out of control. Sorry. Wallace simply shrugs. Not the first time clubs have been pushy about scouting members. I was actually thinking the whole thing might be good for Eileen. Her single-mindedness is her best and worst trait, really. I don't want to say please put up with Eileen, but I'm having trouble working out a better way to word that. She isn't a bad person, just driven. I'm sure you know someone similar. Yep. I do shudder what her reaction would be to being told she and Caprice are similar in any way. I'm still not sure about dealing with her, but it's hard to deny someone worried about their friend. Wallace seems content that he's managed to get his point across, silence hanging in the air as he thoughtfully sips his coffee. It reminds me that I should drink my own before it gets too cold as well. Alright, and that's it. We've already been an hour in the video, so we'll see you guys in the next. And so far, been enjoying this really because the art is just wow. I like to see where this goes for our friend, if there are any underlying issues that she has, or if there are any underlying issues with regards to the other characters. So, bye.